I'm here today to introduce you to my friend Ty Davis. He is an amazing pastry chef at the Chocolate Pig in St. Louis. He's going to tell us all about how to use isomalt to make these sugar decorations for cakes and cupcakes.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Tyler Davis. I'm the pastry chef at the Chocolate Pig restaurant located in St. Louis, Missouri. What I like to use Isomalt for is like a sugar substitute. So Isomalt is extremely stable. A lot of times when you encounter working with sugar, especially sponge sugar or anything like crystallized sugar, it's very, very unpredictable. So a lot of the times when you go to make it and to bring it to hard crack stage or softball stage, it'll start to crystallize in the pan and then you can't really save it. Isomalt, you don't have that problem. So it is a sugar alcohol that acts just like a sugar would with the structure. So you get all of the really, really cool properties of actually working with the sponge sugar without actually having all of the kind of like side effects of working with it. You don't have to worry about it also absorbing like moisture, humidity. So if you ever want to make any kind of like croquembouches or anything that you want to withstand like the test of time and you want to get the sugar glass effect, Isomalt is the way to go. It is also extremely inexpensive. So if you like to find it, you can go to any kind of like candy supply store, or you can go to sometimes Michael's carries it, or Amazon.com also carries it. So usually when you buy Isomalt, what you get is Isomalt crystals. And they're just little beads like this. You can also buy Isomalt in slabs. You can also buy Isomalt in like dust form. So it's powder form. The Isomalt in powder form melts extremely easy. So because the crystals are really, really small. So if you have it on your burner, I would suggest just putting it on medium heat, and it'll take about 3 to 4 minutes for those actual to become liquid form. And if you wanted to decorate like a cupcake or anything, what you can do is just take your Isomalt, take your cupcake, and just place a few individual pieces around it, and you get the same effect. And the good thing about this too is also for home cooks is that you get a really, really awesome effect with not a lot of effort. So if you want to make things look like super, super like pizzazz, or if you want to give like food, I call it a little bling, Isomalt's the way to go. Like I said, it's very, very stable. You can dye it with any colors you want. I like to use gel colors, but if you have just regular liquid food colors, that works as well. Powdered colors work amazing in it as well. And then sometimes what I do is I actually take the Isomalt, and if you ever have any glitter spray or sheen spray like metallics or chromes or like rose gold, you can actually spray the Isomalt and it actually sticks to it, so you kind of get like a metallic effect with that as well. If you're ever going to work with some Isomalt, some things you really, really need to be very, very conscious of is the heat. When you work with it, it has to be extremely hot. So always double up, triple up, or even quadruple up in gloves. Because the Isomalt is over 200 degrees, you don't want to get it on your skin. It will peel it off. So what I like to do is I like to work it with the Silpat. I typically like to get the larger ones because they're a little bit easier. It gives you a lot more surface area to work with. And when I put my Isomalt on here, what I'm doing when I'm actually kneading it on here is actually just cooling it down. Another thing you also want to be very, very conscious of when working with Isomalt is that because we do use it as a sugar substitute, you don't really want to use it as a sugar substitute when it comes to like baking or anything like that. It is a little sweet, but you don't want to ingest large quantities of it because it can definitely make you sick. Like these guys right here, like I actually try them all the time. We do what we call on our menu berry glass, and our berry glass is actually a garnish for our passion-free tart. So what we do for our berry glass is to keep it really, really stable. We don't really use sugar for it, so we use Isomalt as a substitute. But we take a little bit of pomegranate extract and a little bit of citric acid and a little bit of pink food coloring, and we actually dye the Isomalt and flavor it, and it actually tastes like a Jolly Rancher. And when we garnish it, it's super, super thin, kind of like the curls on here, so you eat it in very small quantities. So it won't make you sick along the aspects of that, but at the same time, you still get the effect without having the hassles of working with real sugar. So whenever you melt Isomalt, I suggest using a non-stick pan. A lot of the times too, also with working with sugars, when you use non-stick pans with regular sugar, it will always kind of crystallize on you. There's probably about a 75% chance when using a non-stick because of the coating at the bottom. With Isomalt, you don't have that problem. So you can use non-reactive stainless steel, you can use non-reactive regular non-stick pans, just as long as it isn't like chipped away or anything like that. Just make sure your pan's in really good condition. Whenever you get your isomalt going, because it does reach a really high temperature, if you have any nicks or any cracks in your pan, the sugar can get in there and it could get underneath, and you will end up with pieces of your pan inside of your sugar, or it'll end up kind of looking a little murky because you have like some kind of reaction happen with either the rust that's like on the bottom of it or some of the Teflon that may be interfering with the isomalt inside of it. Isomalt, when it's ready to use, it just becomes extremely clear. So when you put it in the pan, it starts off white and opaque, and then once it gets to the right temperature, it'll be very glossy, clear, just like regular sugar. Yes, you can refrigerate isomalt. The good thing about isomalt too is because it doesn't act as like a hydrocolloid, so it doesn't really absorb humidity a lot. You can actually take this entremet and put it inside of the refrigerator and it'll totally last. I've had croquembouches out for Christmas from the 1st all the way to the 30th of December, and they withstood the test of time. Like, the isomalt was still in really good condition. It wasn't soggy. It keeps its crunch, is what I like to say. To make isomalt sugar curls, what you do is take your isomalt powder and put it inside of your non-stick pan on medium heat. You're going to melt your isomalt down until the entire mixture becomes transparent and glossy. After your isomalt becomes transparent and glossy, take a silpat sheet and pour the isomalt right on top of it. You're going to want to work the isomalt with the silpat, or let your isomalt rest on the silpat sheet for 25 to 35 seconds. This lets your isomalt get to a proper temperature so that you can actually work with it. A lot of the times isomalt can be really hot, so letting it cool down a little bit just makes it a little easier to work with. As soon as you get your isomalt to a temperature that is cool enough for you to make pliable, just work it in your hands a little bit. Stretching helps to form a little bit of elasticity within your isomalt and also helps it to get a glossy sheen. After your isomalt gets to the proper temperature, which is easy to work with, you're going to take either a metal cylinder, a knife sharpener, or you can actually use your finger to curl the isomalt around. Once you curl it around it about 4 or 5 times and get it to the shape and length that you want, take it and just push it off gently, and you got your first isomalt curl. In order to make isomalt globes or blown sugar spheres, what you're going to do is you're going to take your powdered isomalt again, put it inside of a non-stick or stainless steel pan. You're going to heat it up until the entire mixture becomes transparent and glossy. Take your isomalt, then pour it on top of your silpat sheet. You can work your isomalt with your silpat, or you can let it rest for about 25 to 35 seconds until your isomalt gets to a temperature that you can actually work with. After you get it to that temperature, what I like to do is work it with my fingers 1 or 2 times and then roll it into a ball. And then what I have is a makeshift actual pump. It's actually a blood pressure kind of pump with an attachment that I actually got from Home Depot that I put on the end of it. So this actually acts as like kind of like a sugar blower. What you're going to do is you're going to take your isomalt and flatten it out. You want it to be a disc that is pretty much even all the way around, and you also want to make sure that the thickness is all the way around as well. If you can get that to be really consistent, then your globe will be very consistent. You're going to take your isomalt, you're going to wrap the ends around the base of the metal pump. You only want the very tips of them to actually touch it, and then you're going to clamp the entire thing around your fingers around the entire edge to seal it. Once it's sealed, you want to just kind of smooth it out on the top a little bit so that you have a really nice even ball. You're going to clamp firmly on the base of the isomalt so that no air escapes, and slowly pump, always keeping the pressure down on the pump. If you relieve the pressure, what happens is that your isomalt will actually start to deflate on you. You don't want to do that. So every time you pump, keep your hand on it. I also like to turn it upside down whenever I'm making any kind of globes, because it helps it to stay a little bit more consistent and definitely more round with the gravity keeping it down. If you hold it up, what happens is the globe sometimes has a tendency to sag. So I always kind of pump holding it down this way. Pump 1, 2, 3, 4 times, just as you get the pretty much the width of your globe that you want, and you're going to take it off of it, and then you can either cut it if you want to just keep an actual sugar globe, or you can actually stretch it and pull it as you pull it off of it. that'll actually give you a blown sugar effect that we did for our entremet.